there is this thing that our brains have a tendency to do that separates us from ourselves. And at the same time, there isn't such a thing. So how do we talk about something that both is and is not? I can think of easier things to do, and at the same time, I can't. So how do we approach this fundamental point where it is and it isn't? So there is this really important thing that I'd like to talk about, and at the same time, it's not that important at all. And how do we hold those two points of view simultaneously, that this is really important and also it's generally not that important at all? What I've noticed is that our minds tend to think of opposites. So if I say, this is a really important thing that I want to share with you, then I'm kind of defining what this is as something. And not only is it something, but it's something really important. So really you should pay attention to it because it, as opposed to other things, is somehow more essential or more significant, right? However, the very thing that I'm trying to describe isn't more important or significant than anything else. So I've kind of missed the point. I was saying, there's this really important thing I'd like to share with you. And at the same time, it's not important at all. So those two sentences right there do a better job of explaining it. It's like, there is this important thing and it's not important. That will kind of drive you crazy if you try to attach to either of those sides. It doesn't matter or it matters. So how do we talk about it? Can't define it. And yet our brains do this thing. We say, I'm having a really hard time right now, for example. And then we forget about the fact that actually we're not having a hard time at all. We're having a great time, right? So those two states of mind are happening literally simultaneously, and yet we are attaching to one of them. How does that work? Do you guys experience that too? I feel like this is universal. I don't think it's just me. And at the same time, by this logic, it is just me. Because I don't know about your experience because I am me, not you, right? So again, we're trying to hold these opposites. It's me, it's not me, it's you, it's not, it's how do we move between that world and, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of drives me nuts because you can't really be definitive about it. You can, but you can't. See, no matter what you say about it, the opposite is also equally true. And now that's making me feel sad. Oh my God, this is impossible. How will I ever talk about it? It's impossible. You know? And then it's like, well, that's actually really absurd. How would you talk about it? You can't talk about it. So same with the emotions. It's happy and then it's also sad. Now I'm feeling sad again. You know, I'm dancing around it, and it's okay to feel sad too. It's okay to feel happy as well. This kind of if you can't dance with this, it's a conflict. If you can't dance with this, you're holding one thing and then the other one, what are you going to do with it? Well, I'm just going to be really, really happy or really, really sad, but not both, but you are both. In order to do that, you would have to kind of compartmentalize yourself in a time and a space and say, okay, I'm just going to do this now. I'm feeling really like this, but everything else is not in my mind right now because I'm really in this. So in that sense, we kind of lose ourselves in this one thing, which is a movement. And at the same time, it's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, well, we do that, but also we don't do that. We also don't lose ourselves in that one strong emotion. We also are aware of that emotion. But we're not detached from it. We're in it. So we're both in it and we're also not in it. Wow, is that a relief? I think so. It seems like a relief to not have to be completely immersed in my emotions and not know what's happening, but also not to be so detached that I can't feel them. So we find some back and forth, some middle ground, some balance point. And is it a still point in the center where it's neither of those things? Or is it moving back and forth between those things? Or is it somehow holding them both at the same time? Maybe it's all of the above. Maybe it's both and neither. It's a little bit of this and it's not that. It's a little bit of this and it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of that and it's not this. It's neither of them. It's both of them. It's all of, it's how many, like, is this making any sense? Because it's not necessarily making sense to me. And at the same time, I don't think I'm not talking about anything. I feel like I am talking about something really important. And at the same time, I also don't know how to express it. And that's frustrating to me. That feels frustrating. I feel this like, you know, how do I actually talk about it? And how do I make space for that feeling of frustration? And realize that it is that, and it's also not frustrating. It's both. So how can I be frustrated and also totally at ease? This kind of mental flexibility, at least in my experience, is not easy to come by. But at the same time, is it? Maybe it is easy to come by. Maybe it's just always available. Maybe it's just how things actually are. So we can go back and forth and around like this, trying to find whatever it is that we're looking for. And at the end of the day, I'm just saying a bunch of words and trying to blah, 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 blah. I don't even know what I'm doing. Trying to find a spaciousness that can not only encompass all these seemingly opposed concepts, but also a comfort in holding them at the same time. And that emotionally can cause some static. Like, oh, you really want me to hold this view and this view together? What about all these people that I know in my life or on the news or in the politics? And they're holding these views, but it's like very separate and they seem like they want to fight each other to the death, literally. Like, whoa, hold on a minute, to the death. But is it really? I mean, geez, I didn't know it was that bad. But it does get like that. Like just holding different views and not being able to hold all of them or all of it, you go crazy and you want to. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you can't find happiness like that. But at the same time, you kind of have to, because you can't not find it like that. You can't find happiness outside of the fact that there is a world where people seem to be really conflicted about belief systems and fighting each other. Like, you might think you're not part of it, but maybe at the same time you are part of it. Maybe you're actually contributing to it, and maybe I am too. So this is a video. I'll tell you what, this is a video, but at the same time, it's also not a video. And now I'm just saying the opposite thing, and that's driving me a little nuts. But like it's not about the words that I'm saying. It's about trying to have the ability to actually be comfortable, because I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. It's like, you really want me to hold all these things together at the same time? How can I do it? It's impossible, And then it's like, well, maybe I should just let all of it go, not even hold any of it. And then people might say, yeah, that's what you should do. Let it all go. That's the right thing to do. But it's like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like people will always say there's this one thing to do, but it's more than that. It's always more than that. It's not just one thing. So letting go and. So we just keep using the word and. I'm letting go and maybe I'm holding things, both of those things. And then maybe I'm letting go of those things, and then I'm holding holding other things. And maybe then I'm doing that again and again. And that comfort with giving and receiving and letting things go and letting things come, that comfort with being able to really just kind of release and attach and release and attach at a moment's notice could possibly be fruitful. That could possibly be something that if you're able to do that movement, you may find a sense of more resonance or more, I don't know what you're going to find. But what I do know is right now is the refrigerator is making noise. And when that refrigerator makes noise, the video is over.